Now let's talk about what's in this bill. It's just coming together just now. We have some sound of Larry Kudlow, which we are going to play. And I will say, Larry Kudlow seems like, he seems a lot less heart attacky during this press conference, if you know what I'm saying.
All right, we're ready?
Yeah.
That fund, by the way, will be overseen by an oversight board and an inspector general. It will be completely transparent. So the total package here comes to roughly $6 trillion, $2 trillion direct assistance, roughly $4 trillion in Federal Reserve lending power. Again, it'll be the largest Main Street financial package in the history of the United States. Liquidity and cash for families, small business, individuals, unemployed, to keep this thing going. We're heading for a rough period, but it's only going to be weeks, we think. Weeks, months, not going to be years, that's for sure. And hopefully pave the way for continued economic recovery after this crisis. That fund, by the way.
All right, so let's be really clear about this, and we don't know. We'll find out more as it comes together. There's two elements of a package. One element is deliver emergency assistance to Americans, which is, of course, the only thing that should be a priority here. We're talking what should be monthly for at least a year, direct cash transfers, expanding unemployment, payroll tax rebates, and of course, emergency infusions, what should obviously be Medicare for all, but even just in these political terms, emergency infusions into health and medical investment, hospitals, right? Then the other part of this is an infusion into the corporate sector. And it's a really big problem that these two things are being fused together because, as you would expect, you're going to basically see, it looks like what's shaping up in this bill is that the Democrats held out. There will be some, I think it's going to be $3,000 for family, $1,500 for individuals, cash. There's going to be unemployment. There's going to be some other provisions that are totally not sufficient, but they will slightly soften the blow. And then added investments for hospitals. By the way, speaking of political malpractice, how the hell does that become a win? Mm-hmm. Mitch McConnell refusing to talk about extra money for hospitals in the first version of his bill, or barely any at all, should have just been a Democratic opportunity to beat the shit out of Republicans. So great, the money's there. How that was even a win in a situation like this is insane. But there you have it. Then the next part is a completely unmonitored, sure, very transparent. Larry Kudlow, Steve Mnuchin, and as David will talk about later, for the first time, if I'm understanding correctly, the Fed giving money directly to corporations. So in other words, not just infusing the economy and setting interest rates in a way that's stimulating, or even providing, government bailout funds that filter their way into the banks, but literally handoffs to corporations directly. Basically, another level of consolidation into the American economy, what Matt Stoller calls corporate oligarchy. So we need to be really specific here in unwinding what's happening, because you've had, broadly speaking, a dual track process where we've had great people like Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and AOC putting forward serious people bailout-oriented stuff. Then we've had some people doing some solid work, Sherrod Brown as an example, nowhere near comprehensive enough, but kind of decent, basic, progressive-ish sort of things, and a little bit, frankly, from Schumer. Nowhere near sufficient, but some modest contributions in a time of Great Depression-level crisis. That's one side of it. And then the other side is a massive corporate feeding frenzy for companies that, as an example, the CEO of Boeing earlier said today, hey, if this is going to come with a lot of strings, I don't want it. Well, first of all, fuck you. And secondly, that should be the question. And yes, this scumbag, Matt is holding up the picture, this scumbag Mnuchin is going to oversee a giant, essentially slush fund. Remember, the only reason he's Treasury Secretary is because Kamala Harris chose to not press charges against him for his conduct in the mortgage market in California. So you are right now, as a Republican lobbyist said the other day, a time like this is a great opportunity for me and for my clients, to paraphrase, but something to that effect. You're going to see more consolidation. You're going to see added employees at CVS and Walgreens. You're going to see a huge crunch on small business, which is a serious problem. And you're going to see also, if you're interested in rights and justice for less formal sectors of the economy, taking everything out of cash is a really big problem for undocumented people, as an example, and other folks who work in different parts of the economy. So there's huge civil liberties, rights issues as well. And basically, you're going to see a piecemeal approach that will slightly soften the blow, and another very comprehensive move towards a complete corporate looting of this country. That's the state of play right now. And we need to unwind it, and we need to be very clear about what all the provisions are, and get into this is one where we do need to get into the real policy details, because we're going to be unworking this stuff for a long time.
Yeah. And, and if you look at just how much work we didn't do after the financial crisis in 2008, the fact that this is almost a kind of short-sighted repeat of the same mistakes is very, very frightening. And we should not let the Republicans get away with it. And we specifically need to make sure that Democrats don't fall in line with any kind of plan or policy that's going to lead to the same kind of structural holes in our economy, because we've had a weak system for a very long time that has always been exposed to this. We talk about this on the show almost every week, how exposed we are to a kind of outside crisis like this. And we're seeing it hit really hard right now, and we're not prepared to deal with it.
Absolutely.
You just watched a Michael Brooks show video. Subscribe to get them all. Why wouldn't you? Don't be foolish. Click subscribe below and become a patron as well. Patreon.com/TMBS. Thanks, everybody.